Hello and welcome to another episode. In today's episode, I am going to be teaching you how to manipulate elements in the DOM. But first and foremost, if you are new to my channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. That really helps me out. And if you want to get notified every time that I upload a new video, then you can click the ring bell. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, everybody, so to get started in today's episode, the first thing that I need you guys to do is to open the same document that we have been using so far, the JavaScript demo that we have created. I also have here our source code so that we can go ahead and actually play around with this today. And of course, MDN. I will tell you where to go specifically as we are advancing in today's episode. Okay, so first and foremost, today's episode is about teaching you how to manipulate elements within the DOM, right? So today we are going to, I could say, take a step further and learn how to manipulate those elements by changing their, let's say, their attributes, like this attribute right here. We can go ahead and we can change the text content, like this one right here. We can change it for something else. And we can even add new elements to the DOM. And I will teach you how to do those three things in today's chapter. Okay, so let's start with changing an element's text content. Okay, so first we are going to go back to our JavaScript code. Let me erase this and let me save this. Okay, and of course, let's go ahead and let's hit refresh just to make sure that that was deleted. There we go. So that was deleted because we, in our previous episode, we created some new text for that paragraph, right? So, which was this paragraph right here, right? So what we are going to do right now is going to assign an ID to, let's say, this H1, okay? So I want to add an ID to this H1, and I want to call this ID my H. Okay, let me just say my H1, okay? Just like that. So my H1. Now, what I want to do in our JavaScript code, and by the way, this is going to stay as JavaScript demo, just so you know. I'm going to save this information, and now going back to our JavaScript code, the first thing that I am going to do is create a new variable, okay? So let's create a new variable, and let's call this variable heading. Now, as soon as we create this, we are going to select document. So first we create a variable, and now we are going to assign to this variable the H1 here. We're going to select the H1, which we just gave an ID to, okay? So document, and I know that you already know how to do this, so it's document.get element by ID, okay? Get element by ID, and then in parentheses, of course, we need to make sure that we type in the ID name, right? So in this case, this ID is my H1, so let's copy that and paste it in here, my H1, okay? So that's the first thing we are going to declare. We are going to declare this variable. So now we know that the variable called heading, it has selected the H1 that we have in this document, right? Now, the next thing I am going to do is say, in order to change the text, right? We're going to say heading, then dot text content, okay? Now, text content is a property of the DOM, right? And this is referring to the content that is right now inside of the H1. So text content, and then we're going to assign a new value to this text content, and we're going to make this a string. So this is a new input from JS. I am just going to, I'm just going to say that, okay? And as soon as I do that, I'm going to close this out. So let's go ahead and let's hit save. Now, let's go ahead and refresh our page. And there you go. Now you see how this has been changed from what it was wrote in here. So we started the H1 by saying JavaScript demo, right? Now, as soon as I wrote a script and I wanted to change the text content, we create this new string, which is saying this is a new input from JS. Now, as soon as I save that and I hit refresh, now this document here is not saying anymore JavaScript demo. Now it's saying this is a new input from JS. So it changes completely the text that was in there before. Okay, so that's one way that you can manipulate the DOM itself by changing what was written before into whatever you want afterwards, right? So just remember, the first thing we did is create a variable. Then to this variable, we selected the H1 by using document get element by ID of my H1. And then we use the heading, right, which is this variable right here. And then we access to the property text content, which is a property included in the DOM. Now, if you want to know a little bit more about text content, you can copy the word text content in the search box here in MDN. Okay. And then here you have the text content. You can read a little bit more here in what this property is and what you can do with it. Okay. If you want to get to know the rules of the text content. But I mean, it's really straightforward. The text content property is just the content that is written inside of the H1, right? Of this element itself. So we selected the heading variable. Then we did the dot operator to get to the property text content. And then we assign this text content a new value, which is a string. And it says this is a new input from JS. So I hope that this first example is clear enough. But if you still have questions about this, don't worry. You can leave them in the comment section below. And then I will reply to you back as soon as I can. Okay? So that's the first thing that you can do. Now, let's go ahead and let's do the second thing that we are going to show you, which is going to be manipulating the DOM by changing an attribute in one of these elements. So we have here this image. And this image right now has an example image, which is this one right here. Okay, so what I want to do is assign another image to this image itself, right? So the way that we are going to do this is by changing the image attribute, right? I don't want this to be example.jpg anymore. And by the way, let me just erase this. This was just an example for a previous episode. So I'll just delete that, hit save. Anyways, this is only changing the alt, so it's not going to do anything to the image itself. So the first thing we're going to do is also create a new variable for this image. And then we are going to use a property and actually a method, which is called set attribute. You will see that shortly. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's do that. And this is going to be very, very straightforward. And by the way, to this image, just to keep on using get element by ID, I am going to use the ID. Okay, again, we're going to assign an ID to this. And then I'm going to call this ID, I don't know, my image. Okay, let me just call this my image. I'm going to hit save, making sure nothing changed there. Okay, perfect. So going back to our script, the first thing we're going to do to add a new image or just change that image itself is going to be create a variable as we did here on top, right? For our first example. Now in our second example, we want to create another variable. It's going to be a new variable, and we are going to call this variable image, just because it's going to be an image what we're about to add, right? So this image is going to be equal to document dot get element by ID of, and then we say here get element by ID of my image. And let me make sure I wrote this correctly. Oh, okay. So it's only my image, IMG. I didn't wrote the entire word, so let me change that. My image. Okay, so we have just selected in this variable the image right here. This this tag right here, right? So that ID right there. So the next thing we're going to do is just say image, which is the new variable that we created, and then we're going to use dot set attribute, which is going to be a method in here because we're going to open parentheses, and then we're going to say that the source that we want for this, and we're going to add a comma, is going to be something different now. We want to access to images, and let me just go ahead and access to image 2.jpg, and then we are going to close this out. Okay, so we said image.set attribute, and then we open parentheses. First, we say that we want to change the source attribute, and then we gave a new source. which is image2.jpg. Why image2.jpg? Because in my folder, in the folder that I have in here, I have added another image, which is image2.jpg. Okay. So that's why I am saying image2.jpg. So let me go ahead and let's hit save. Now going back to our code, let's make sure everything is saved in both documents. Now, as soon as I hit save, now I'm going to hit refresh, and boom, we have a new image changed there. The old image that we had, which was example.jpg, was replaced by a new image, which is image2.jpg, which again is in my folder, is this one right here. We used to have this image before, and now we have a new image because we changed with JavaScript the attribute of the image element right here, right? So let's go ahead and let's review the code and what we did here. First, we created a new variable called image. Then on this variable, we selected the get element by ID my image, which is this tag right here, right? And then we then set to our code image, right? So this image right here, this variable dot, and then we use the dot set attribute method, dot set attribute, and then we open parentheses because it's a method. And then we go ahead and we use the source, right? SRC to access to the source attribute, right? And then we gave it a new source. So instead of giving example.jpg, we're giving it image2.jpg, which is the second image we had in there. And that's how you change one image to be another one, by changing the attribute. Okay, so I hope that this example was clear enough. As you can see, we have something new added in here and in a new image that you can go ahead and actually play around with. Now, all this will be very useful when we are creating our project in JavaScript. Okay, so far, I hope that you are following along. If you have questions, remember, you can drop them in the comment section below so then I can reply back to you as soon as I can. So let's go ahead and wrap up this chapter by teaching you the third thing that you can do when manipulating the DOM. These are just the most essential and basic things you can do to the DOM, but there are way more things you can do with it, okay? And by the way, if you want to research a little bit more about how to change an attribute, make sure to go ahead and do that here in MDN. Remember that you can always open your code, and let's say that you want to know a little bit more about this set attribute. You just copy this, paste it in the search field, and then select the first article that you find in there. And then here you can read a little bit more about the set attribute syntax, the parameters that you need to use, etc. Okay. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and let's jump into our third example and our third goal for today, which is teaching you how to create something new in the DOM, right? So far in this example, we have a heading, we have a paragraph, which is empty. In fact, I can do this. I can say, hello, I am a paragraph. Let me just add some text in there so that you can see this paragraph. There you go. So hello, I am a paragraph. So we have an H1, we have this paragraph, and then we have an image right there. So what if we want to add something new here? Let's say that we want to add, I don't know, another paragraph or another H1 or another image. And I do not want to change the actual content that we have right now on the website. Because right now we have been changing the content that we had in there before. But let's say that I don't want to change anything. I just want to add something. Well, for that, we're going to create something that is called append child. So I'm going to show you how that works in just a moment, okay? So let's go ahead and let's say that in JavaScript, we want to create something new, right? And not typing it in HTML. So to create something new, the first thing we're going to do is create a new variable. Let's just create a new variable. And then let's say that I want to create a new paragraph. So I am just going to create a variable called new paragraph, okay? Just to make things easier. Okay, and then I am going to assign to my new paragraph, we're going to say document. And then we're going to say create instead of get element by ID or whatever, because this paragraph doesn't exist. We're going to use something new. So it's going to be create element. Okay. And then in parentheses, I am going to tell to this portion, what element do I want to create in this variable? And what I want to add is another paragraph. So let's just go ahead and let's input the letter P. Okay. And then after I do that, the next thing that I want to do is give this new paragraph some type of content, right? So I can say, hey, new paragraph. And then I am going to use the text content property. And then I am going to do equal this to, hey, I am new in this document from a document. And then I want to say I was created in JS. Okay. Just make it something like that. I mean, you can write whatever you want. I am just writing that for now. So we have created a new paragraph. Then in here, we have assigned some content to the new paragraph. Now, if I hit save right now and I go back to my code in here and I hit refresh, nothing is happening to my code. Why? Because in order for me to display this in the DOM here actually in the website, what I need to do is append this tile. So let me just open back my code in here. And what we are going to do at last, so that you can see that paragraph added into our website, will be the following. We're going to say document dot, and let me just add this in a new line. So document dot append child. Okay, so document. And you know what? Let's just make sure that I specify where. So to the body section, I want you to append a child. And then this child that I want to append, it will be the new paragraph. Okay, the new paragraph. So I am going to hit save. Now, as you can see here, I just told my document, hey, document, to the body section, I want to append a new child. So I want to add a new child to this body section right here. To the body, I want to add a new kid inside, right? That has the variable name of new paragraph. Now, the variable name new paragraph is this one right here, right? Which has the following content that it says, hey, I'm new in this document. I was created in JS. So let's hit save here. And now let's go back to our code and let's hit refresh. Boom. As soon as I do that, the paragraph that we created, it has been added at the bottom of this page. As you can see, it says here, hey, I'm new in this document. I was created in JS. And you didn't have to add this paragraph here in HTML, right? We did it from JavaScript. So I hope that learning how to create something new with JavaScript is very exciting for you. I know that it's easier just to create the paragraph right now, here in HTML. But trust me, when you are coding with JavaScript, when you want to add new things in JavaScript, and let's say that you want your user to do it and not yourself, you will have to use this, okay? So that's the reason that you are learning all of this. That's the reason that you are learning how to change your document with JavaScript rather than doing it yourself straightforward, because JavaScript is for interaction. So we want to make the website interactive, right? We want to make sure that the user is able to do things to the website. So that's why you need to understand this basic concepts, so then you can apply them and actually build beautiful websites on your own, right? And you can allow the user to manipulate them. So so that's it for today's episode, everybody. If you have questions about any of these 3 examples, remember to leave them in the comment section below, and I will reply as soon as I can. But so far, I hope that everything has been clear. We're going to keep on moving forward in our next chapters. I am going to be teaching you some new stuff, so everything is getting super exciting, and we're almost getting to the point where we are going to start building our first project. So stay tuned, okay? Because things are going to get a little bit fun, okay? So, okay, everybody. So that was it for this episode. Remember, if you like this video, it'll be very helpful if you hit that like button. And if you want to get notified every time that I upload a new video, you can go ahead and you can turn on the ring bell. So that way you get notified every time that I am uploading a new video. So that was it, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. And remember that you can always ask Lixi. Bye, everyone, and see you again in the next episode.